I will, in this talk session, try to explain a little of what um, befell me so that you can get an idea of what a cold and evil group of people the British turned out to be. Cold and evil. My mother was an English professor at a community college in Pittsburgh. She used to say, "Oh, in those days, drugs were just everywhere." Well, I was about 10 years old um, when drugs were just everywhere, as she puts it. And so I'm supposed to ignore that I was kidnapped, tortured, brutally molested, implanted with a nerve agent from Attica State Prison Psychiatry, that girls' arms were being burned gangrenous from Mr. Rogers' neighborhood set people. Oh, drugs were just everywhere. And who do we have to thank for that? With the Beatles and their nest. So no, I don't take responsibility for my own drug use. That's not what happened. I was a child. I was younger than the generation that was at risk of war, and they looked at me and said, "He thinks he's going to get out of it." And I was walking to school. I weighed less than 100 pounds. I was attacked blindside by an armed man. He would carry a lead pipe. He would threaten to kill me. He was an extremely brutal man who Ken Crimson had hired and later advocated for with the help of Midori Goto, Donald Trump, and Rosa Clemente was really into him, and Diamond Montegalis was really into him. They brutally tortured me, but he was, Louis Lapham of Harper's Magazine actually, his girlfriend had taken my arm and lifted it as distastefully as holding a urine specimen, he said, to get me off of her one day when she was cold. And to him, this proved the magnificent cognoscente of his warriorship, burning girls' arms, gangrenous. The only reason I was there was because I was petrified. They had implanted a neuroplasm. They had taken me hostage. They had threatened to kill me. And the bitch says she's cold, so I put my arm around her. Okay, so fine. Louis Lapham gets his cognoscenti jack off with Spike Lee in the Kremlinopolis of New York City because a petite, terrified 12-year-old is subjected to humiliation by a Han's girlfriend. So he can't get enough of it. He sends in more Han girlfriends. He sends in Midori Goto, Han girlfriend. He tracks. That's his word. Yes, he likes to say tracks. Like Arredondo at Peep. Arredondo at Peep. Uvalde. Louis Lapham had all day to peep as he tracked genocide pornography on Mount Desert Island. And what was the queer bait doing? The queer bait was saying they've obviously forfeited my life. I have to try to get evidence to protect others. Was that stupid? What others you gonna protect? You're gonna protect the licky chops in the NAACP? You're gonna protect the ball Vivaldi? One who said that, yeah, he knew that AIDS was man-made and he supported Bush for it. Is that who you're going to protect? Drugs were everywhere in those days. Drugs were everywhere in those days. Who could be next? What's one of my friends be being targeted? I have to get evidence. What about the poor queers who are being betrayed? I have to get evidence. Oh, the poor queers, licky chops. If you try to help them, they're just going to turn on you. We don't quarantine the queers. The queers quarantine the queer bait. This is the rabbit animal penis J. Sinfield's super mastery of the whole Overlord story. They fly airplanes into the World Trade Center, right? supposedly to protest AIDS, but the woman with the dagger outside was herself in immunogenetics and Satanism back in the 70s. What does that tell you? It tells you that the stupid queers in Seattle for some licky chopped burglary. Remember, they're stealing for the Wimborne Chain Library. They're poaching from John Schulman. They're shooting people in the mall and then uploading their images in the First Commonwealth Bank's website. So just to get some licky chops, they're helping the people who started AIDS. And the British have this thing going. They've had this thing going. They're not going to stop. And they say it's all because Lennon was victimized. He's the victim. And so they can come down and they say, see, seriously, now you see, seriously, now you don't. Pouch, seriously, Kennedy. And then have a little chew with the dinner. And behold, Bob Dylan comes twanging, oh, John Kennedy had to pay and pay. And the New York Times say #1 hit song while COVID-19 is going on. And COVID-19 is an inside jest. Cohen's video of the 19-year-old. They're still talking about it on Wire Club. Wire Club uploads Pitt football. And they laugh, KDP was a virgin, KDP was a virgin. They all know what happened. They all know the World War II grannies at the end of their lives, the Axis pounced and got even on them for Hiroshima. And Pitt footballers, we're sorry, Yoko Ono. We're sorry, Yoko Ono. The great man could have been saved. They have no body. All the evidence says it was a Houdini. The Warren Commission puppet show suggests that the media killed JFK as a snuff film, and they pouch Cersei Kennedy. You see, the great man is dead. Therefore, we get to pouch Cersei Kennedy. The great man is dead. Therefore, we get to pouch. And they sent my letter of condolence to Courtney's letter to me with the delivery of an anonymous call. You will find 2 more Kennedy bodies buried in the lake. And this was from Jay Inslee's crowd. It wouldn't take much detective work to show that it was Jay Inslee's crowd here in Seattle. And he was uploading, Earth's first. They've flamed over Africa. We have they're smoking up a house. The house is on fire. And so we have to put aside that the Axis got even with World War II grannies. I mean, Pitt football came and shot the grannies in the face for Yoko Ono. And they say now Paris is the capital of Germany. And they raid Congress and kill people trying to protect our congressmen. And they wanted to hang our vice president. And we call them patriots. We call them patriots. The loyalists. See how cold and evil the British are? They are cold, evil people. There's nothing redeeming about Boris Johnson or Julian Lennon, any of those sick people. America's going to have to go it alone. The only reason Julian Lennon comes around is because he has a sneaky identity problem. He yearns to lick the boot of his American better.